Hello, my friends. Hello, and welcome back to Guardians Daily. Glad to have you tuning in. As always, we are presented by FanArch. Want to get right into the action in New York last night. Obviously, the Guardians stay hot against the Yankees in this series. Obviously, this was a big series coming in after a tough weekend against Boston at Progressive. Kind of felt like this could be a start of a spiral. If you get two bad losses here against the Yankees to start this series, things could start to turn, or maybe you're a little finding yourself will be a little fluky, not as good as you think you are in the American League. Has not been the case so far for your Cleveland Guardians. Man, what a two first games they have played against obviously one of the best teams in the American League in the New York Yankees. Always feels good to beat New York. Always feels good to win a series on the road in New York, especially. They've already secured that. They'll be going for the sweep this afternoon against, I guess, Carlos Rodon on the mound. Slade Ciccone will get the start for your Guardians. Looking forward to that. Obviously, this is another clean game for your Guardians, and the offense has been producing of late in these last two games in New York. Obviously, it's a hitter's park. Obviously, some balls get out of there that don't normally get out, maybe at Progressive or some of these other uh, ballparks around the league. But got to play the field you're on, and they're both playing on it. That's what they always say when teams start complaining in the playoffs. I know I've been in the past had my frustrations with those Guardians Yankees playoff series, and you're like, man, that's a home run, that type of contact. But it is what it is. They all got to play on it. And Guardians took advantage last night. Obviously, a lot of home runs for your Guardians in this series already. We're going to talk about the middle of the lineup in just a second, but we got to talk about the guy who is the leader of this team, who's one of the best players in the sport, and a guy who's starting to catch fire, and that's Jose Ramirez. Obviously, he loves hitting in New York. His career numbers in Yankee Stadium are absurd. He likes playing the Yankees in general, but especially on the road in their ballpark. He loves it. He's been on fire in Yankee Stadium. He's hitting over 425 in Yankee Stadium with all these home runs, all these doubles, just tears the cover off the ball. And he did it again last night off Garrett Cole. I'm surprised they're pitching to him, honestly, but they kind of have to, as we'll note in a second, with the guy behind him in the lineup right now, or two behind him now, even though he's been behind him most of the season, in Kyle Manzardo. But with Jose, you know when he's locked in and he gets in these zones, you really just shouldn't be pitching to him. We've seen it for the last decade now. When Jose gets in the zone like he is currently, like that's just not a fun for any opposing pitcher. He's putting up scrappy at bats. You think you got him out. No, he's going to foul that off. He's not going to chase too much when he's seeing the ball this well. So it's a walk or he's going to rip one down the right field line, especially good to see him catch a little bit of fire from the left-handed side of the plate too, especially. He'd really been struggling left-handed so far this season by his metrics and his compared to his greatness throughout his career. Obviously not compared to the average player, but had been down a little bit. Not the case so far against the Yankees. He's looked really good at the plate, obviously. Four it's pretty much been doubles or homers. It's what you're getting from him. Last night he almost had two homers, hit one off the top of the wall and right. Could tell he was a little he only got limited to a single off that. Caballero played it very well in right. You could see the frustration from him though, and didn't want that to happen in his next at bat. His next one, boom, off the right field, almost off the foul pole, into the second deck. And gosh, what this lineup can be when Jose Ramirez is hitting like this is really the sky's the limit because you've seen the success from the young guys coming up. Obviously, they're going to have their peaks and valleys with the Bazanas, with the DeLauder. You can throw Martinez into that mix. Even Manzardo, still relatively early in his career, although he's been with the club a little bit longer. But when those guys are hitting and you mix in a red hot Jose, man, this lineup just their ceiling raises so much. And you could see it in these two games against the Yankees, just timely hits, getting the right guys in. And then obviously when they did have to pass it to the middle of the lineup, they that's been the question mark this year. It's been the 4 or 5 slots in this lineup. That's when there's really been the talks, the chatter of do we need an upgrade? Do we need to bring in another guy to really fill that spot? Is Manzardo the first baseman and the cleanup hitter that you want him to be? Obviously, that's the role they put him in. Can he live up to that? And Reese Hoskins as the platoon guy, who's the guy switching back and forth with him at first. giving you that right-handed bat with some pop. Can they live up to what they're brought here to do? And that was a big question mark for most of the first 2 months of this season. Obviously, we're not even to the All-Star break yet, but as we're getting into early June, going into the summer baseball, you got to start answering some of these questions and finding out what you want to do with your team and your roster construction and your lineups going forward. Well, I'm not saying we've found the full answer yet, but we're getting closer as Kyle Manzardo and Reese Hoskins both hit some nukes last night for your Guardians. Manzardo now homered in back-to-back games, both go-ahead home runs. Perfect, timely hitting from Kyle Manzardo, and love to see that from him. And then Reese Hoskins, a guy who's really done a nice job at the plate with his patience. His power numbers are down. Obviously, he's on what we agree was the back end of his career compared to his success he had in Philly. But his patience at the plate has started to pay off. Obviously, he works a lot of walks. His on base numbers are much better than his average and things of that, like those measures. Now you're starting to see a little bit of the pop come into play. He hit one out last night, another timely one, a two-run shot, another one to take the lead, and which both games so far with the Yankees have been back and forth seesaw affairs. And now you're seeing them find ways to come out on top. And then, as we'll talk in a second, get yourself a lead going into the ninth and pass it off to Cade Smith. So important. Getting those insurance runs as well, giving yourself a little breathing room, making it a little easier on Gavin Williams, who was very solid again last night. That is a tough place to pitch in Yankee Stadium, and he was excellent as well. Obviously, didn't have the big strikeout numbers like he's accustomed to. Did give up a couple long balls, but overall, very successful from Gavin. And this team's playing good baseball. Really, if they have all season, obviously there's going to be little dips in, like, obviously this weekend. Last weekend at Progressive, Boston got 2 out of 3 when they really, and obviously the scores ended up being blowouts, but Sunday they really had a shot to win that game. Got out of hand in the seventh inning. How do you respond? And that says a lot about this young ball club that they've responded like they have. Obviously, no Aaron Judge for the Yankees in these games. Say what you will about that. Everyone's beat up. It's June. Aaron Judge, obviously one of the best players, if not the best hitter in baseball. So you can't deny that the difference there. But we're not looking for. Hey, we're not looking forward to the playoff Yankees series yet. We're not counting anything ahead of time. We're talking about where teams are at right now in June as they make their pushes and try and get their division leads and things like that. They're obviously trying to catch the Rays in their division. So all these games matter. 162, obviously, more games than any sport out there. It's going to be a long season. It's going to be a long summer. But each game matters. They all count in the stat box. They all count in the win-loss column. And then when you get down to September and you're in a division race, you're in a wild card race, you look back and these little games that you think, in June, oh, man, we lost to the Guardians in June. Hey, they can come back and get you, and that can cost you a spot, and cost you seating, it can cost you home field. So all these things matter, and you're seeing a team that plays like they matter. Whether the Guardians go out there and they win or they lose, you can see the intensity of the locked in group that's playing together, and it's great to see. And now it's really nice to see the middle of the lineup start to get some pop back in those bats with Zardo, with Hoskins, two guys who have shown flashes in the past. Obviously, have had success in their careers. Manzardo, obviously, with the 27 homers last year, trusting him in that cleanup spot, not going out and making a move. Maybe that says more about ownership and financials, but they trusted him with this spot, and it looked to be biting them early in the season, especially. Not the case right now. You can see him starting to settle in. Man, when Manzardo's slugging starts to pick up, he just is such a nice breath of fresh because you love his swing. You love when he can take the ball to right center. If you love when he rips them down the line. And then you're starting to see a little bit more of those, hey, those finding those gappers as well, getting the doubles. So love what we're seeing from Manzardo. The patience from Hoskins seems to be paying off, which goes to show what a veteran presence in a locker room in a clubhouse can do. Like him, not taking everything too hard. Obviously, he had some bad at bats early this season, and sometimes in leverage situations because he was in that 4 or 5 spot in the lineup. He was coming up with runners on with a chance to take the lead, a chance to tie things up, a chance to get that big hit. And maybe he wasn't coming through, but you can see the way he works, the way he carries himself, preparing for this opportunities now. And you look at a game last night, hits a big home run to give your guys a win in New York against the Yankees, against the top team and one of the top teams in the American League. That's the type of reason you go out and you take a flyer on a Rhys Hoskins in spring training and sign him late. So love what I'm seeing from there in that middle of that lineup, and you're seeing the growth just even in the couple months we are in this season. So that's really exciting, obviously. And then we'll go for game 3 this afternoon with Slade Ciccone. Now, I do want to give a little bit of credit as well to another guy who took a little bit to fully settle into his role, even thrown into it in the middle of last season with the Clase debacle and his whole scandal. And we don't want to get into that right now. It's all the picks and everything, all the prospects that were cost from Emmanuel Clase and his gambling. We could do a whole episode on that. Maybe next off day we'll just go in that. We'll have a Clase Ortiz episode. If you want to look forward to it, I'll let you know when it's coming out. We'll advertise it. We'll sell ads or something. We'll be good excited. We'll do a little, maybe get FanDuel or someone. We'll go all this gambling. But save that for another day. Last season, Cade Smith really was comfortable in that role he had been in for years as that 7-8 middle innings high leverage situation guy, and wasn't sure when he was going to be put into that closer role. Probably was going to happen anyway if they were able to trade Clase like they planned and was discussed at the time anyway. Yet, I don't think he expected to be put in that situation in the manner he was. And it kind of, you could see it last year at his first couple appearances as closer. Shaky, some blown saves, some tough outings. Really settled in towards the end of last year, obviously through the division hunt, coming back, catching Detroit through all that. Could see him find himself on the mound in that closer spot. This season, similarly early, it's not, again, I talked about this before. It wasn't necessarily blown save after blown save, but there was a lot of, hey, there's traffic. Hey, there's a 25 pitch outing to try and get the save, and maybe not even getting it, or letting them tie it up and things like that, and just making it a little harder on himself with walks, with some control. And he was getting hit more than I've ever seen Cade Smith get hit early this season, and not necessarily that turning to base hits, just hard contact and things like that. For a guy who's been so unhittable throughout his career, and man, did he turn the flip after that first couple weeks of the season. He's been arguably the best closer in baseball since then. You get Mason Miller in the NL, but there's certainly in the American League. It's hard to find someone better. He should be an all-star this season. Probably should have been in years past as well. Cade Smith's been freaking awesome in his career for the Guardians since he's gotten the call up. Really has always been that guy. Curious how things go in the future with contracts and things like that for Cade, because he's a stud, carries himself well. You don't hear much about him in a good way, honestly. Like, you don't really see much of his personality, which is one thing or another. Just very professional on the mound, and his stuff's unhittable right now. And obviously, last night he actually did give up a run on a sac fly. But in general, lately, it's just like, man, if we can get it to Cade, you feel really good, which is how you felt. And all the bad things in the world you can say about Clase as a mental, what an idiot for what he was doing. Clase was the same way. Emmanuel Clase was as good of a pitcher and closer as you're ever going to see. He was a stud. I know, obviously, it's easy in hindsight now. When you think of him, you don't think of how good he was anymore, which is kind of a bummer because he was on a path for maybe a Hall of Fame career, which goes to show how stupid his whole situation and his decision making was, even worse. But he was incredible for this team. And the fact there hasn't been a drop off at closer since that scandal and incident happened is a testament to obviously Carl Willis as well in his pitching staff. But Cade Smith was awesome and has been awesome in that role, and such a pro in how he's stepped in and found that spot and made it his own and made it comfortable for him coming out in the ninth inning every game. So can't give enough credit to Cade. Should be an all-star this year. Really, this is more proud of you, Cade. Happy for you. Glad to see you doing your thing and keep it up. Honestly, that's what this segment ended up being. But he's been awesome, so can't give enough credit to him and what he means to this team so far this year, especially now with the injuries in the bullpen with Sabrowski, puts even more pressure on a Cade Smith. So hopefully that continues, but just love what we've seen from him this year. And we look into game 3. It's a nice matchup for the Yankees. You would think this is the one they should be getting It's the afternoon game getaway. We head to Texas after. Who cares if we get game three? We already won the series, is what conventional wisdom would tell you. But the way the Guardians team has played this year, don't expect them to just roll over and give you the third one and take the series win. Even though it is Slade Ciccone, probably our worst starting pitcher on the mound, and it is Carlos Rodon, one of the highest paid pitchers in the game for the Yankees, even though he's been down this year and really the past couple of years, he hasn't been as good as that contract was. But it's the Yankees, they might not care. But don't expect this team to give up in the afternoon. See if they can get some run support early for Slade would be the key in my eyes. If they can get some early offense, then I think they have a real chance to steal this one and steal the sweep at Yankee Stadium. So look forward to that. And then tomorrow we will head to Texas. We got a weekend series against the Rangers, some more American League Baseball coming up. So we'll have all that covered for you and more. We'll get a recap of today's game and we'll give you a little preview of the Texas Rangers and what we have in store. But we love where we're at right now with our Cleveland Guardians. See if we can find a way to get the sweep done. If not, we already won the series. So win-win either way for your Guardians. Hopefully we can get it done. But until then, stay tuned. Hey, like, subscribe. If you got any comments, drop them down below. We appreciate them. We're hearing you at Guardians Daily. Appreciate you guys.